Good morning, dear 6th class friends. You know about that last classes we already started our chapter number 5th, that is the separation of substances. Now today we are studying about the need for separation of substances. Okay, so last time we already discussed about the characteristics properties of mixtures. Okay, and pure substance also we have to see. Now need for separation of the constituents. So sometimes we have to need to separate the substances. It means the constituents of substances of the constraints. Okay, need for separation of the constraints. Sorry, this is not substance. This is the constraints. Okay. Okay, this is the UNCENT constraints. So why is it necessary to separate the constituents of a mixture? Most of the substances which are found in nature contain some harmful or unwanted substances. So most of some substances contain some harmful and unwanted substance. Okay, so these must be removed before using the other them, and others may contain a mixture of useful substance which needs to be separate. And sometimes we are having, it means we are purchasing some things from the market and they already contain some impurities, so we have to separate these impurities from the our edible substances. Okay, otherwise may some harmful toxic materials can be get inside our body. To remove harmful or unwanted constituents, the harmful constituents present in river water are removed by various processes before supplying it to our homes as drinking water. And small stone husk and dirt present in rice and pulses are undesirable and must be removed before cooking. So some dirt, husks, stones should be removed before that. Okay, before cooking. To separate the different useful constituents. Okay. Second one is crude oil or petroleum is a mixture of several useful constituents. That means the crude oil which can be extracted in the form of crude. Okay, they are having the many impurities and many other like substances. Okay, like petrol, diesel, kerosene, tar, etc. These are separated in the refinery by fractional distillation. Okay, so by the fractional distillation in the refineries, it means the refineries like maybe the Reliance refinery or some refineries you see in here the names. Okay, in the Digboy. So salt is obtained from the seawater by evaporation of the water. Butter is separated by churning milk. Here all the substances separated can be used. Here all the substances separated can be used. Okay. Now third one is to obtain highly pure samples of substances. Okay. It means sometimes we need to separate because we need some pure substances, highly pure substances. Because like see from the tea leaves can be separated from the tea because we need a pure cup of tea. Okay. Distilled water, a highly pure form of water, is obtained by distillation of ordinary water. It is used in the manufacture of medicines. So distilled water, which is a pure water, okay, and it is used in manufacture of medicine, research, and other industrial purpose. And this also used in to add in the battery. Okay, several other highly pure samples of substances are also used in making medicines, and some more medicines also can be made up of this distilled water. So these are the reasons on behalf of that we have to separate some its constituents. It means we have to separate some impurities, some pebbles, some stones, some dirt, some husk from the our useful it means the things. Okay, now the methods of separations. We have studied above that anything which is impure is harmful. So cleaning or purification of material is essential. To separate a mixture, we have to identify properties that one constituents of the mixture has and others does not. For example, to separate iron fillings from sulfur in a mixture, we can use the magnetic property. Okay, it means from the sulfur, if we have to extract the iron fillings, then we use the property of magnetic, because sulfur cannot be attracted by the magnet and iron can be attracted by the magnet. So when the sulfur and iron mixture can be held together, then we use the magnetic property of this magnet, and that's why iron can be attracted towards the magnet. We can use the magnetic property of iron. When a magnet is brought near the mixture, iron fillings are attracted and stick to it. Sulfur is left behind. We will now study some simple methods of separation of a mixture of substance like hand picking. Okay, मतलब हाथों के द्वारा उसको बीनना, जैसे चावल और गेहूं के अंदर से हम हाथों के द्वारा कंकड़ पत्थर बीनते हैं, वो उस टाइप से. ठीक है. So when the visible unwanted particles are removed by hand, the process is called hand picking, and this is the very manual process. Okay, and housewives often remove small pebbles, dirt, etc. from pulses, food grains, okay, by the hand picking. This method is used when the unwanted particles are small in quantities, like maybe the 1 kilogram rice, or it means the maybe the millets, or like having only the few grams, it means maybe 50 grams or 40 grams to 10 grams of pebbles, then it can be easily used of this hand picking method. And their shape, size and color are just different from the useful ones. Okay, like black type of stones are found in the white rices, then it was easy for us to pick by the hand. Now the second one is threshing. The process of separating the grains from the stalks of plant is known as threshing. Okay, 1 minute, I will take chalk. So second one is, so methods of separation. Methods of separation. First is hand picking. Second is threshing. Second is threshing. So the process of separating the grains from the stalks. Okay. So yes, the process of separating the grains from the stalks. Okay, the stalks means bunch of that, maybe the wheat or like that, and the from the stalks, and the grains. Grains means dane. Okay, that we have to separate as threshing. It is used for the separation of large quantities of grains. Okay, it is used for the separation of large quantities of grains. It means जो ज़्यादा अमाउंट में ग्रेन्स के बड़े बड़े जो है बोरे वगैरह होते हैं, उनके अंदर से उनको सेपरेट किया जाता है. Where hand picking is not possible. Where hand picking is not possible. Rice and wheat are separated from their stalks by these methods after harvesting. Generally, the stalks are beaten on the ground to free the seeds. Okay, rice and wheat stalks are generally this can be happen with the beating. Okay, beaten on the ground. So this is the traditional methods. Okay, these are the traditional methods in which the stalks of this wheat and maybe the rice are just beaten with the help of, it means beaten on the road. Okay, and sometimes they are just spreading on the road, and when some vehicles are coming, okay, on that, then the ultimately the stalks will be removed from that. Okay, the grains will be removed from the stalks. And threshing is also done by trampling the harvested crop using bullocks or a machine. In case of threshing by machine is known as combine. Okay, so that is known as combine harvester, in which in the crop field they can be easily cut this crop and easily it means they just separate the grains from the stalks. Okay, both harvesting and threshing are carried out by a single machine. This saves time and labor both and helps farmers. Okay, it means when we are doing this with the help of combine harvester, then it saves too much time for us, and this production are also good quality, because they are free from pebbles and stones or like that. Now next point is winnowing. Next point is winnowing. The process of separating lighter components like husk from heavier components. So husk is a very lighter form of impurities, which can be sometimes came with this. It means when we are just it means separating the husk. It means when we are separating with the stalks of that weeds, some small type and light in weight, they are just come with that grain, and we have to separate also that. Okay, so from the grain we have to separate the husk, and this husk from a heavier component such as rice or wheat is known as winnowing. It means sometimes you can easily see this diagram, and this woman is doing this winnowing, because husk is a lighter, then it will be fall down just downside. Sorry, husk is a lighter, then it will be flow from to it means the far away from that, and grain is a heavier, that's why they are just falling down on that particular place. So it's based on the property that grains are heavier than the husk. The mixture of grain and husk is allowed to fall from a height. Okay, fall from a height. It means just make them fall from a height, and the lighter husk particles are blown away by the wind and fall at a distance, forming a heap. The heavier grain particles fall vertically and form a separate heap. So both heap are, it means both bundles are, it means both gathering are different type, and because heavier and lighter. This process is used for separating the components of a mixture when they are nearly of the same size and the particles cannot be distinguished easily. For example, a mixture of sawdust and sand can be separated by winnowing. So no other method is suitable to separate them because they are of the same color and size of the particles. Other method, it means hand picking is not applicable for that, because hand picking, by the hand picking we have to separate only some other way, other different, other textures, colors, or maybe we have to separate. But in the husk, which is a look like same of that particular grain like wheat or rice, so that's why we cannot use this hand picking method for that. And nearly equal. So the lighter sawdust is carried away by the wind while the heavier sand falls directly below. Okay. Now the sieving. Sieving means channa. Okay. So you already seen sometime the when the sand is sieved through this siever. Okay. This is strainer. Sand is sieved when the construction is going on. So this is the methods. Okay. If the components of mixture are of the different size, then they can be separated by a sieving. It means if they are having a different size, then they can be separated by sieving. The smaller components pass through the pores of the sieves, whereas the larger components are retained on it. A smaller sieve with the fine pores is used to separate bran and other impurities from the wheat flour. So sometimes the smaller sieves with the fine pores like wheat bran, generally we are separating this wheat bran from the wheat after flooring. Okay, it means after flour, when we already grain or churn this wheat into the flour, then we are just separate the wheat bran also, but we don't make to this separate because wheat bran contains some fibers, and due to the lack of fibers our body maybe got a constipations. Okay, and so that's why they contain fiber, and fiber is very useful and necessary to digest the foods. So wheat, sometimes look, wheat, rice, pulses and many other things are passed through sieves with the bigger holes. This helps in grading the product according to the amount of impurity present. So what is the size of impurity? On the basis of that we have to use the sieves. Okay, like that, you know about that when we are strainer using in the tea leaves, we know about the size of the tea leaves, so that's why we are using the holes of according to that. Okay, so here also if our pebbles are very small and grains are a big one, then we are using some small pores sieves. Okay, this helps in grading the product according to the amount of impurity present. At the construction sites, bigger sieves are used to separate fine sands from pebbles and stones. Sieving cannot be used when the particles of the components of mixture are of the same size. It means the pebbles, sands, okay, many are, if they are just equal to the grain size of the grain, okay, then we cannot separate by the help of this sieving, because when we use this sieve, many pebbles are also just fall down with the simultaneously with the this particular grains. Okay, sieving cannot be used. Okay, like for example, a chalk dust and flour cannot be separated by this method, because chalk dust and flour both are having the same size. Their particles are having, both are having same size. Okay, now the activity 5.1 we have to do. To separate the components of a mixture by sieving to check when it is useful. Okay, requirement: 100 gram of wheat flour, a sieve, a newspaper and a piece of chalk. Place the wheat flour on the sieve and shift it to separate any impurities present in it. Let it fall on the newspaper. Now make a, okay, so this is very easy I think activity. There is no need to make a more concentrations. Very easy, because we need 100 gram of wheat flour, a sieve, you can see in your house also, a newspaper and a piece of chalk. Place the wheat flour on the sieve. Okay, we have to place the wheat flour on the sieve and shift it to separate any impurities present in it. Let it fall on the newspaper. We have to make them fall on the newspaper. Now make a fine powder from a piece of chalk and mix it with the flour. shift it with once more. What do you observe? Okay, so what do you observe? Observation: when wheat flour is shifted through a sieve, the fine particles pass through it. Okay, the when wheat flour is shifted through a sieve, okay, wheat flour, when we are shifting through the this sieve, the fine particles passes through it. The coarse particle of wheat flour or bran is left on the sieve. Okay, some coarse particle and bran, wheat bran means wheat color, upper one cover is just left behind that. The particles of chalk dust and wheat flour cannot be separated by sifting through the sheets, because both are having the same size. So that's why we cannot it will separate this chalk powder and this wheat flour with the help of this sieve. Sieving is done to separate the component of mixture which are of a different sizes. Different sizes because we have to make them this pores also. And if pores for grains and pebbles are same, it means for the pure substance and for impure substance there is the same things. Then it cannot be separated with the help of this sieve. It cannot be used to separate the components of a mixture in which the particles are of the same size. In which the particles are of the same size. Okay. So this is our activity 5.1. In next our study, it means online class, we will study about the sedimentation and decantation. Okay. Thank you.